Welcome to the overview of Stata software. This video will help you navigate around what you see. You can start Stata by clicking in the Start menu or clicking on the icon on your desktop. When Stata first opens up, this is what it will look like. Down here you have the command line. This is the place where you tell Stata what you want it to do, and you will use a certain language for Stata to understand. After you type in the command and hit the Enter key, you will see the results come up top here in this window. And this piece here is called the results window. Now, don't worry about all this other stuff that's here now. That's just introductory stuff, and that's irrelevant for you. After you run a couple of analyses and type in a couple of commands, you will see the results up here, and all this other introductory stuff will get bumped up. So the three main sections that you deal with when you look at the screen for Stata will be the command line that you type in the words, the results window above that shows the results of what you typed, and the data sheet. In order to open up the data sheet to see what's there, you click this icon. Notice when I hover the mouse over the icon, it identifies it as the data editor. And when I click to open the data editor, notice the particular data sheet that's open right now is blank. It has no name and there's no data in it now. But there will be in a few minutes. Now right now you can see we have two windows open. We have the main Stata window that has the command line and the results window, and then in the other window you have the data sheet. You can always close the data sheet and go back to the main part of Stata just by clicking the red X in the corner. And here I had to minimize data or restore it down to show you. You're in data sheet view, but if you click the X, it will disappear and you will come back to the regular view of Stata. So you could think of the data sheet as being behind the scenes. But I recommend you take a look at the data sheet after every step you do in order to understand what's happening. So to summarize, you type what you want Stata to do in the command line. Then Stata will go to the data sheet. In this case, the data sheet is empty, but it won't be in a couple of minutes. Then after it processes your request by taking the data and doing what you asked, it will show the results back in the results window. Well, how do you tell Stata what you want it to do? Commanding Stata is a language. It will do what you want if you say it the right way. The words you type are called code. They will go to the data, get what you want, and then show it to you in the results window. The commands you give Stata usually do one of two things. You're either changing the data or running an analysis. Those are the only two things that you're doing when you type in commands in the command line. So now let's open up a data file that was already made before this video so you can see how to open up a data file in Stata. There are three different ways that you can do this. The first way is to double-click on the data sheet itself. Stata will open, but the data sheet will then be part of the session. Here's what I mean. Stata is already running, but as we saw, there is no data sheet. Let me maximize this. There is no data sheet right now. The data right now is blank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quit Stata completely. Now, the data file I'm going to use is named pool non-numeric. This is a result of a survey about the East Meadow pool and how much people spend and how much people enjoy it and so on. Notice the icon says DTA, which means it's a file specifically for Stata. So Stata is not running. If we double-click, Stata will boot up, but because we double-click the data file, when we go to look at the data editor, we can see our data about the East Meadow Pool is here. You may recognize this data from the previous video. The variable names have not been set, so instead of saying gender and age and continent, by default, the variable names are var1, var2, var3, and so on. Now you might also notice something else. Why is it that some variables have the values in brown, while other variables have the values in black? What Stata is trying to tell you is that the variables in black are recognized as a number where math operations and additional analyses can be run. But the variables who have the values in brown are recognized as words and non-numeric. In fact, even variable 6, which is how much money people usually spend in the pool, is considered non-numeric, and that's because when I copied it into the data sheet originally, I left the $sign. And if I left the $sign, Stata assumes this is not a number. Stata assumes this is a alphabet character, and unfortunately we are limited to the number of analyses we can run. Now the second way to open a data sheet is use the main menu. So I'm going to close out the data sheet, and this is what I mean. From the main menu, if you click File, Open, then browse the way you normally would for any other file in any other software, Pool, Values Only, double-click. Now you don't see the data sheet, but it's there. Click on the data editor, and here it is. This is a different data set. This data set has the values as numbers instead of words. Let's open up the other one. File, Open, scroll down, Pool, Non-Numeric Mix. Double-click, and now we're back to the original data sheet that we opened. So it's very similar to any other software when opening up a file. Now the third way to open a data sheet is the most interesting. We can type in the code. And you may well ask, how do we get the code to open up a data file? Well, the code is already there. Please note, for any action you take in Stata, the related code will show up in the results window. Look here in the results window. Remember, the first thing I did was double-click on the file called Pool Non-Numeric Mix. And Stata not only opened up the software, but opened up this file as well. If we were to type in this code, use, and then here's the path in the file, the exact same result would happen, and this file would be the data sheet for the session. Remember, the second thing we did was use the main menu and go File, Open, and then we opened up this file. The result would be the same as if we typed in exactly this code. So we clicked File, Open, and double-clicked on this, Pool Values Only, but what Stata did in response is execute this command line. And it's showing us in the results window exactly the code that we could have typed in instead of using the main menu. And then, of course, I did a third one. I reopened the file called Pool Non-Numeric Mix by double-clicking on it to start Stata. I could have just started Stata and taken this exact line of code, clicked Copy, clicked in the command line, click Paste, and then hit Enter. And then you would see that's the file we have. So if we look at the data sheet right now, you can see this is the non-numeric mix that has the words instead of the numbers. I'm going to close it out. However, if I copy this line of code, starting from the word use, by the way, don't copy the little dot here on the end. That'll screw everything up. Start copying from the first character after this tiny little dot. I don't know if you can see it all the way on the left. But if I copy this one with the values only into the command line, I'm commanding Stata to use the file that's in this path with this name. And then when I hit enter, that is now the data sheet that's open. To prove it, I'm going to click here in the data editor, and now you see it's the other set of data that was in the different file.